what's the best possible Arizona team you could possibly make? What's that starting lineup going to look like?
I have a six man.
Yeah, you can have a six man. Yep.
So at the one, I'm putting Gilbert.
Mm-hmm.
At the two, I'm gonna give you somebody current. I want Ben
Mm-hmm.
playing right now. I want Ben at the two.
All right.
I want Andre.
Mm-hmm.
Four, I want Channing Frye.
Mm-hmm.
My five, I'm gonna give you another current, Coloco. I want him at my five, and then in my six man, I want Mike Bibby.
Mm-hmm. So no Steve Kerr, DeAndre in there.
Oh, I forgot about DeAndre. Yeah, okay, we're gonna have to sub Coloco out. Yeah, probably want DeAndre. I forgot about DeAndre.
What's going on today? I'm the host, Zach Schumaker, and joining me today is a four-star recruit, the number 3 ranked player in the state of Texas, number 22 ranked player on the Rivals 2023 Top 100, a finalist with Dave Campbell was Mr. Texas Basketball Player of the Year, two-time 5A All-State selection, and the second member of Arizona's number 2 ranked 2023 recruiting class, KJ Lewis. KJ, appreciate you taking time to come on today, man.
I appreciate you, bro. It means a lot.
Absolutely, man. Well, KJ, we've got a lot to get in today, but there is one thing I do want to kick this interview off talking about, and it happened about a month ago, and you guys were in the playoffs. You got undercut, but obviously you ended up getting called for the foul for some reason on that play. Then I'm getting ejected later on, a couple minutes after that. So take us through what exactly went down that play and just what ended up happening, resulting in you getting the ejection.
I think it's just the conversation between me and the ref. Uh, I think he just was very frustrated with the whole environment and what was going on. There was a lot of people talking, and he assumes like what was said for me. Um, and I got two texts from it, and so I got ejected. And then in the state of Texas, if you get ejected, you can't play the next game. And yeah, that's what happened.
Now, I know it's not the first time that you've been abused in terms of fouls. We've had that about the past couple of years. I know your coach frequently talks about that, where typically, I mean, obviously, anytime there's a star player, the star players will get more foul calls than anyone else does just because the ball's in your guys' hands more. But for your case, pretty much the past couple of years, you get fouled. In some ways, a lot of them are even more dirty, you could say, and you don't get the foul calls for yourself. So, how have you learned to deal with that for the past couple of years?
I think it's just the people who I surround myself with.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, my family, just keeping me level headed. My coach, and ultimately just changing the game up to like shooting a lot more. Um, but I think the biggest thing is just staying level headed.
Now, obviously, we'll talk about it later on, but it could be other opportunities to go out and play potentially prep or whatever it could be later on. But in terms of dealing with that throughout your high school career now, how would you say has made you better as a player? Or has it even made you any better?
Just playing through contact. Not expecting to get any calls by the refs. And then just being more physical. Absorbing contact. Getting my body stronger. So I mean, it definitely has its pros and it has its cons as well.
Now, going back to the ejection play, when that was all unfolding and the reference was ejecting you, what was going through your mind?
Uh, that I let my teammates down. Honestly, the situation could have been handled better. Um, but just ultimately, I'm competitive. I want to be out there with my teammates and help win the game. So just definitely letting my teammates down.
Well, I want to get into a lot more, like I said today. And obviously, today, people know you as a borderline five-star recruit. In my opinion, you would be a five-star and you become an Arizona commit now. You've done all these different things. You're an accomplished player. But I want people to get to know how you became the KJ Lewis that we know you as today. So you've obviously moved a couple different places in your life. You started out in Texas, you went to Arizona for a little bit. Now you're back out in Texas. But you've been in Texas for the majority of your life now. So in terms of just growing up out there on the court, off the court, just growing up in Texas for the most part, what's it been like out there?
It's been tough. I think the whole state of Texas and basketball is just competitive in general. So it's taught me a lot to, how to approach the game differently. Um, it's grimy out here. Everybody wants, what star players have. Um, Nothing is given. and you have to work for everything out here in the state of Texas. I think just Texas in general is the best basketball state in the country, in my opinion. Um, it's just competitive. It helped me build my competitive nature, um, turn me into the player I am today. It was a great move, all in general, to stay out here.
Now, you mentioned that Texas is the best state for basketball. I agree with that. And there obviously are still other great states out there. So if you could rank or you had to rank your top three states in America for basketball, what's the order you're putting them in?
Texas one,
Mm-hmm.
California two,
Mm-hmm.
and probably like New York and New Jersey. Like I consider them both like
Yeah.
together, but those three, like New York and New Jersey, three.
Now, in terms of the state of Texas, the thing that makes you guys extremely unique and kind of crazy too is that obviously it is a football state for the most part. I mean, it is a football state, but you guys have the talent now, both in football and basketball. So, what is it been like just growing up in a place that pretty much everywhere you look is loaded with talent in terms of just athletes?
I think just as a competitor, like it helps you because you always trying to be the best, and football, basketball, whatever sport you're playing, we have the talent here, and it just pushes one on, like it pushes each other. So I think it's like the best thing for the community.
When you talk about the atmosphere of basketball, I know each place kind of has their own culture, what they're known for. Like when you go outside the state, what kind of defines a Texas basketball player? So what would you say that is? Like when you go out of the state, when you just talk about the branding of Texas basketball, what does it mean and what does it take to be a Texas basketball player? Like what's kind of the culture behind it?
I think the culture here is just great. Obviously, again with the talent, um, we always have at least like two All Americans. Like I just don't think like we have multiple cities in the state. Texas is so big; it's like talent spread all across the state. So like it's hard to even explain to get into that. Like this year example, we have five McDonald's All American just come out of one city. So like I think that's the best example I can give about the culture in the state of basketball.
Now, I mentioned too that you haven't spent your whole life in Texas, though. You spent about a year or so out in Arizona. Explain that a little bit. Like, what led you out to Arizona for a little bit?
Uh, I wanted to go live with my dad for a little bit, just to get a change of scenery. Spend a little time with him out there in Arizona. Um, but that was the biggest thing, just to spend some time with him.
Obviously, as we're going to get into that throughout this interview, that's where you're making another new home for yourself now for 1 to possibly 4 years out there soon, too. But what was it like living out there, and how much did Arizona? How were they able to pretty much win you over to a certain degree? Obviously, just by living out there for 1 year. Like, what was that 1 year like to make you end up kind of falling in love with the state?
I think it was great. Arizona is a beautiful, beautiful state. At least Tucson, the city I lived in, was beautiful.
Mhm.
Um, I think just the people there are genuine people. It's a college town, so you felt every part of Arizona college of football, college basketball. You felt all that. So growing up as a little kid, seeing all that was like something I wanted to be in, to be a part of,
Mhm.
and I think that was the biggest thing.
Now, when you moved back out to Texas, then what led to that decision? Was just that you just wanted to go back home to Texas, or what led to you going back out there then?
I think just wanting to go back home, and also knowing like it's going to be best for my future out there. Growing as a basketball player and growing as a person, just living with my mom.
Now, when you go out there, you go out to El Paso and you end up becoming the best player, or at least one of the best players in that area's history. There's obviously some talent out there. Cliff Tucker is one of the more recognizable ones, and obviously what he achieved was special as well. But this is something that's not easy for a lot of players because obviously the whole spectrum is obviously Texas. That's what you're representing. But on a smaller scale, like you're representing now this city, this place that hasn't necessarily been known as much for basketball per se as other areas in Texas is. So how have you grown up in this area now pretty much and said, okay, I'm in a way gonna have the pressure on me. I want the people to say, okay, I can become this player. I can become one of, if not the best player to come from this area. How have you been able to embrace that?
I think it's just again the people. I think I've been blessed to live in amazing communities. When I moved to El Paso, they took me in and embraced me for my freshman year. But I also do it for like the little kids that look up to me. just to show them that like you can achieve your dreams if you put in the work, no matter where you come from, like whatever city, wherever state. But if you put in the work, I think that's like the biggest thing.
Also, at the same time, though, I have to imagine it has always been easy, obviously, to have not be with your whole family the whole time. Obviously, with your dad still being in Arizona, your mom out here. How have you dealt with that? And just how, at the same time, have that helped you kind of become the person that you are today?
I think it played a big, big role. Um, just with my mom, like telling me to always be myself no matter the circumstances and staying humble. And I think I just stuck with that since I was a little kid.
Now, I have to imagine that you two have become extremely close now, having her kind of helped you, guide you throughout this entire journey now. How close are you guys today? And just for you just to go through everything and become the player that you are today, what's it like just seeing and knowing how much of a role your mom has had on that?
She's my best friend for real. I love her to death. I'm extremely grateful for her because she's been through everything that I'm going through. She played Division I basketball, so she knows like what it takes to get there and how hard it is when you get there to get to the next level. So just all the like little knowledge she drops on me is, I take it all in. But like she's definitely my best friend.
When you look at having somebody that you can relate to in that aspect that knows what to do to get to the point that you're at today, how big has that been for you in your career?
It's big because like usually some players don't usually have that person to help them and guide them through like the little problems, little situations that we go through. So like it's just like an extra boost for me, so I can avoid those problems in those situations.
What would you say has been the biggest thing she's taught you about you as a basketball player and how to manage yourself on off the court? Like, what's the biggest lesson she's taught you?
Just to give it your best every time you step foot on the court, because I mean nobody can tell you anything if you're trying your best. Um, and if your best is like I don't know, nobody can say your best isn't good enough. And so just like give me your best.
So, was the ball pretty much just brought in your hands from the first day you're born, or when did you first start to play this game?
It was pretty much like put in my hands when I was born. I think she was a assistant coach at she was she was a head basketball coach when I was born. So, I was always like been in the gym since I was a little kid.
Now, was basketball the only sport you played growing up, or was there other sports that you were switching between and you eventually found love of the game?
And I was playing like all the sports when I was little. But then like when I got into middle school, like I only like did track, football, and basketball.
Mhm.
And then eventually I just started doing basketball.
So, if someone would have told you heading into your freshman year of basketball that you were going to become a top 25 ranked player, a guy that could go to countless schools, just about every school in the country that you wanted to go to, would that have been something that you would have been shocked about? Would you have been expecting that? Or what would your reaction have been before you ever played a game of basketball? Someone told you that this was the player that you would become in just 2 or 3 years.
Nah, I definitely wouldn't have believed him. Like funny story. Before I got like my first offer my freshman year, like everybody was telling me like, oh, like don't rush that process because you're gonna get tired of it. Like it's gonna be hectic. Um, and I wasn't believing them. Like I just didn't think that was my path, my journey.
Mhm.
Um, so it was definitely like unreal when it all started happening.
So, what was your thoughts then? Heading into high school, what were you wanting out of this game? What were you expecting to come out? Was it just you just want to play through high school, see what happens? You just want to play somewhere collegiately, or rather be D1, D2, whatever it is, or what were you expecting for yourself in terms of basketball before you ever played a game in high school?
Just to get to the next level, whichever level that was,
Mhm.
just to get to that next level, because it's a step towards the NBA. Whether it's like NAIA, D1, D2, D3, like you can get to the NBA throughout like all those, you know. So just to play like college basketball was my goal.
Now, when you look at the schools that you could have went to, obviously there's a lot of different schools in the state of Texas. You decided to go to the school that's closer to home for you. Go to Chapin High, where you've now created a great relationship with Coach Lewis out there now too. But what led to that decision? Like, why was that the school that you wanted to go and play your high school basketball at?
Funny story, Coach Lewis and my mom were like best friends in college at UTEP.
Hmm.
And so like before I moved to El Paso, she asked me if I wanted to go play with him. And I did. but she entrusted him with coaching me. She like saw something in him to get the best out of me, and he did. And so I think the biggest thing is just trusting him.
You head into that freshman season. Take us through that first year. That's your first year of high school basketball. You still have a pretty solid year overall, but take us to that very first year of high school for you.
It was bumpy, being a new kid in the city or even in high school. It's bumpy. Like you got to learn all the upperclassmen. You don't want to step on any other toes. So like the first part of the season was bumpy, but then like later on in the season, towards the end of district, toward like going into playoffs, I think like me and the team, we all came together and we bought in. Unfortunately, like we lost in the second round, but like it was learning lessons in that season. And I probably wouldn't have been the player I am right now without that, like those upperclassmen, those seniors.
Right around this time is when you and I first got to start knowing each other and we had our first interview. And that was when the recruiting and everything started getting going. We'll get more in depth in that a little bit. But when, for you as a player, did you start realizing and saying, now this not only is something that I want to do in terms of just this is my dream, I want to play basketball, but like I know I'm one of the best players. I know I'm a Division I player, potentially NBA pro. That's obviously coming down the road too. But I just know that I can play this game at a high level. When did that start clicking for you?
I think the first like thought of that, like when I started recognizing that, probably going into that my sophomore season, like that summer, my freshman summer,
Mhm.
um, I started improving a lot more. I started being a lot better than my peers. And then just, close people around me telling me that, I'm getting better. Um, and I just started believing in what they were saying. I started believing in my work.
The unique thing about you and your game has been that you have, in my opinion at least, been one of the guys I consider the most college ready players. So obviously we'll talk about it too in a second. That like you could obviously, if you wanted to go and play college basketball next year, I think you have the body for that. But you've always been more developed in that aspect. Obviously, you've grown talent, skill, and all that throughout your career as well. But how have you learned to take that size and the ability that you have naturally gifted with your body, and how have you learned to take that and apply that into your game and use that as an advantage for yourself?
I think just my training, all my trainers, them telling me different things, different angles, how to use my body. And then, just being a little bit more athletic than people is a big advantage as well.
Mm-hmm.
But like I had to give credit to my trainers. They helping me how to use like my body, certain angles, certain ways to, have touch on the ball when I go laid up or whatever it is. So I think my trainers were the biggest thing with that.
You head into your sophomore season. This was one of your bigger breakout years, you could say. You average 25 a game. You get 5 rebounds, 4 assists. You guys have a pretty solid overall team in a year in terms of successful as a team, success season as a team. What was that year like? Just kind of take us through the ups and downs of that season. Obviously, it was during the pandemic and all that too. But what was that sophomore year like for yourself?
It was separation. I think, pandemic was a blessing. Some people, took time off, but, me and my mom, we sat down, we talked about, well, if the NBA is my goal, then, this pandemic can't stop us from getting to that goal. So we were in the gym every day, regardless of the pandemic. And, we just worked countless hours, late nights, early mornings. It was just work. And then going into that season, you can see it. I was a little bit more comfortable, more confident shooting the ball. I was a better leader. Um, I just had a different mindset that season.
That is something that I've heard from some players, obviously not all, and that's kind of why, because that pandemic was a time that could lead to separation for guys. And obviously, in some guys' cases, it wasn't necessarily this, they didn't want to put the work in. If you lived in a place like California, New York, obviously they were locked down legitimately, they couldn't leave the houses. So it's a
Yeah,
little bit different for some guys. But for anyone that had the opportunity that weren't in that strict of lockdown, you always had a choice. Okay, it might be more difficult to get the work in. There might not be as many opportunities, but there is a chance I could go put in the extra work. I can still go run. I can push myself in some way, shape, or form. What led you to say, okay, this is my time where I don't know how long it's going to go on for. It ends up being about 8 months or whatever. I'm stuck in my house, or pretty much close to just being stuck in my house. I'm going to put the extra work in. What led you to kind of have that moment of saying, okay, I want separation this time. I'm going to take advantage of the pandemic?
again, just me talking to my mom.
Mm-hmm.
We having that conversation of me wanting to be one of the best players in the country.
Yep.
and then also, talking about my future goals. And she's like, nothing is given. You always have to work for something. So I think that was the biggest thing. And that's what, gave me that mindset during that season or during that pandemic to, try to work even harder.
Would you say that you are the player that you are today if it wasn't for the pandemic, or did that pandemic just help make you relate to a whole nother level type of player?
I think it helped. It definitely helped. I still think I'm a hard worker and I
Yeah.
love the gym, but um, I think it definitely helped me.
Now, take us a little bit more in depth of playing that season in high school. When you averaged 25 points a game, obviously you took over that year, but it wasn't easy to do that during the midst of a pandemic. And I know Texas is much more open than most of the states, so you don't have to have some of the crazy protocols that other states had, but it still, I know, wasn't the same as typical high school basketball. So, what was it in terms of the high school season like for you that year?
It was fun. Even though we didn't have no fans or anything, it was still fun just
Mhm.
because, me and my team were clicking. We had great chemistry and we were winning games. I think, like I wish the difference in that season was just having people witness how good we were. Um, it was just fun though. Like it's nothing compared to like playing your best when you're having fun. And I think that's the whole like summary of that season. We were just fun. It was just fun.
You then go through an AU summer, and then you head into this past season that you just wrapped up now. You guys go 31-5 this year. You guys end up losing Sweet 16. Obviously, we talked about the ejection, and then you missed the game, and you guys going to come back and play one more. But take us through just this entire season, the ups and downs this year. What was your junior year of high school basketball like?
Uh, it was a lot of mental and physical emotions. Um, it was definitely different. I think the biggest thing was just trying to get my mental right. This year was a lot of more like what we talked about in the beginning, like just those players, the fouls and like the refs and all that. And then like teams schemes against me. It was just a bunch of different things, and I just had to, get to a different place mentally.
And as we already talked about too earlier, like there obviously, I know with you being the type of player that you are, there are options on the table for you. Obviously, I can imagine just about every prep school or national team would want you on their roster next season. And goals off fourth and like that. Obviously, we're talking about two in a second. Could you possibly reclass? I think you're ready for that in terms of your size and body and all that. But when you look at next season, is there an opportunity you think you could consider at least potentially going to a prep scene? And not necessarily just because of wanting to get out of Texas or whatever it could be, just because of the rules and everything that goes against you foul wise and everything like that as well, factoring into it. Is that something we could possibly see? Is there an opportunity that you're looking at possibly going to prep school or going with a different direction for your senior year?
Yeah, I think it's a big possibility. Me and my mom, we talked about, those changes.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, we haven't came to a decision about anything.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure later in the summer, um, we'll like sit down and really lock in on what we're gonna do for my senior year. But as of right now, like we haven't thought about anything, like any changes.
When you look back at your past 3 years of high school, what would you say has been your favorite memory that you've created so far in your high school career?
That's tough. Uh, I think just being this past year, my junior year, with the most wins in our school history, going back to the Sweet 16. I think that was the most memorable moment in high school for me. And just putting El Paso back on the map. Being a top 15 team in the state. We were top 10. We finished like top 10 still. So I think that's the best memory.
Now you're heading into your final AU season now. It's already pretty much started in terms of practices, and your guys' games start up just about right around the corner now. How excited are you for this year's team? Because it's your final year of AU basketball. It's all done after the next 6 months or so playing this. How excited are you for your final year of AU?
Man, I'm super excited, bro. I think we left a lot on the table last year, but we're bringing back more pieces to drive. I think we're all dedicated. We're all hungry from the coaching staff down to the last player, man. It's gonna be fun, but it's also sad to think about. Like, dang, this is my last year playing AAU basketball.
Mhm.
Something that you start from like being a little kid. But I'm super excited.
Now, that has to be one of the big benefits of guys committing early. Obviously, some guys like to do it right before their high school basketball season starts at the senior year, but you now get to say, okay, I don't have to worry about AAU basketball in terms of my recruitment. I don't have to worry about my final year of high school. Like the next two seasons, which is obviously just 1 year and combine your final AAU, your final high school season, it's all just for you to enjoy pretty much. And you get to go through it, take in the moments, get better, get ready for Arizona. How much of a relief is that? Or is it even a relief saying that, okay, I don't have to worry about recruiting no more. I know my home. I'm just going to go out there and play basketball now.
It's a big relief. I don't think people understand like the pressure that us players go through when it comes to recruitment and trying to pick a
Yeah.
home for the next 4 years for college. And so it's definitely a big relief. Now I can just focus on what I can do to improve and what I need to do to get better and go right away or go right into college playing. Um, I think it was a big like that was one of the biggest things I wanted to do before even like starting the summer, so I could be locked in mentally and physically.
Now, I'm going to put you in a little bit in the shoes of an evaluator or coach for your team now. And you guys have a loaded roster at Drive Nation this year, but take us through the team a little bit. Like, give us some of the guys that people should be excited for. Obviously, the star guys. Take us through some breakout candidates on your team. Like, how good is this team looking this year? Just kind of take us through the guys on the roster this year.
Okay, I got you. Obviously we got a top 5 player in the country in Ron Holland. Everybody knows he can do pretty much anything on the floor. High motor, very athletic. And then from there, we got RJ Jones, who's a top 30 prospect, can shoot the ball, a great playmaker. And then after RJ, we have Keller,
Mm-hmm.
another top 50 prospect in the country, very athletic, can shoot the ball. I think he's very underrated too. It just, grimy, can get after it. After Keller, we have Justin McBride, another top 100, top 50 player in the class. Can stretch the floor, can shoot, also very athletic, can protect the rim. And then after Justin, we have Alex Cotton, who's really underrated. I think, in my opinion, top 50, top 75 player in the country, can shoot the ball, and is athletic. So after that, we have David Terrell, another underrated player, in my opinion, can guard really well. Probably is, if not the best defender in the country. Super fast, dangerous in transition. And then I think the last player, actually, we got two more. After David, we have Ashton Hardaway, Penny Hardaway's son, who can shoot the ball really well. 6'8", can hit you, can score on you any type of way he wants to. And then the last player, his name's Tim. He's from Richardson. I think another top 100 player in the country. Very versatile, great footwork, can hit you with a mid range, post you up, and I think our whole team is just versatile, unselfish, athletic, can defend, and then I think we have the best coaching staff in the country too. So.
And on top of that, too, obviously we have yourself as well, another top 25 that can defend and score at will pretty much as well. But this team, obviously, like you said, there's loaded talent. You guys are going to have a starting 5 of all top 100 players, top 50, you could say, too. I think Justin's right, borderline of that as well on the rankings. But point is, you guys are loaded with talent. The bench is a lot of underrated guys, too, like you said. And obviously, to win Peach Jam is not easy. We know this countless team just loaded top to the bottom. There's going to be competition. It's never an easy task to go out there and just win Peach Jam. But that is the expectations for you guys. I know that's what you guys want to do. So what will it take for you guys to be able to walk away come June, July's time and say, okay, we're going to win Peach Jam. We can win this whole thing. What will it take for you guys to get to that point?
I think all of us buying into it, being unselfish, but also getting after it on the defensive end. Because if we can hold our opponent to less points than us, we're obviously going to win. And I think we're a dangerous transition team. So once we get a stop on defense, secure a rebound, it's probably pretty hard to stop us from scoring in transition. But I think the biggest thing is just being unselfish. That's the biggest thing for us to do to come out with being number one.
And as I mentioned, this is your final AAU season. So if I were to ask you come end of July when AAU is officially done with, and I was going to say, okay, what is a successful AAU season for yourself? What is everything that you want to get done for you to walk away saying that, okay, I achieved everything I wanted in my final AAU season. This was successful. I accomplished what I wanted. What is everything you want to get done in the next 6 months or so?
Just to prove to people, that I am, a top 25 player, top 20 player, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, obviously you want all those accolades like a McDonald's All American, Jordan Brand Classic, but also just to leave my mark. I think that's the biggest thing, and to show people out that I am really one of the best players.
Absolutely, man. Well, now I do want to get into this recruiting process in Arizona and all that stuff related to that. So, if we get into that now, you were going this recruiting process. You had originally, I believe, a top eight. You had Bama, Houston, Memphis, as well as your top five, which featured Arizona, Arkansas, Baylor, Texas Tech, and UCLA. With that first narrowing down, though, the first time you had the top eight, what led to those eight schools, and why were they the ones that you kind of separated from everyone else?
I think the difference between those eight and everybody else was just the communication aspect. Them showing me that I am a priority even during the season. Them keeping in touch, them letting me know, them helping me like get better, um, and just make me feel like, oh, okay, this team wants me. I can help them out in like different ways. Um, I think that was the biggest thing with those eight.
You then narrowed down to that top five. But before we get into those five schools, you also had an offer on the table, like a lot of the top players in the country, which was the pro route. And obviously for you, it was overtime elite, 500K per year, which are going to come out to about $1 million contract in total for yourself. Where were you and where did you stand on the pro route? Obviously, it's something that some guys chose to go take that route. A lot of people didn't as well. Take us through the time that they gave you that offer, how you considered it, and why you ultimately came back and said, this isn't what I want to do for my career.
It's crazy that like that whole process was different. Like I didn't even know I was like on their little radar or whatever. My mom sent me a text, asked me like would I be interested in like going to overtime elite.
Mhm.
Um, and I was like, it felt like good to know like, okay, maybe you know, I am good enough to go to like the pro route right out of high school. Um, but like we sat down, we listened to all the meetings, and we talked about what I actually wanted. And as a little kid, I always wanted to go to college. Like I always wanted to be in the March Madness. I always wanted to try to win a natty. Like I always wanted to experience all those types of things. And so I think that was the biggest thing, staying true to myself, no matter how much money was offered or given to me, staying true to myself and always, wanting to be a college basketball player.
Now, I'm not sure if this was the same case for yourself. I know it was for other guys out there, and that was obviously now if we get the upcoming guys in 2020, maybe some guys in 2023 still, but most 2024 and on, like they now can see what it was like. At that point in time, it would have been in a way a gamble saying, okay, this is the first year. I don't know how successful it's going to be, what's going to go on here. If there was another pro route that emerged for yourself, rather be someone like the G League, who's now been established, what they've done, someone like the NBA out there in Australia or something, would those options have been more appealing to you? And possibly would you have given more thought to those programs? Or was it just truly that you just didn't want to go pro right now? You just wanted just 100% to go to college?
So I had some options like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just staying true to myself, even with the options that I was given.
Okay.
I had the G League, I had the other Australian league. Um, but just staying true to myself. Like I know I want to go to college. So.
Then you come down to that top five, then the five schools that really separate themselves being Arizona, Arkansas, Baylor, Texas Tech, UCLA, a mixture of schools closer to home. And the other two, obviously, were where families located at in UCLA and Arizona. So, what led to those five schools, though? How did they all separate themselves more so than those other three in Alabama, Houston, and Memphis?
The coaching style, the playing style, and the coaching style. Um, Seeing how I can fit in with those programs was a big part. Immediate impact with those programs was a big part. And then I think the coaching staff was the number one thing for me. And all five of those programs had in my opinion, one of the best coaching staffs who also, um, from the head coach to the bottom person on the coaching staff, reached out to me personally during the recruitment. I think those three reasons was a big part of my top five.
Now, within your own circle of your own family, just yourself personally, maybe even, I have to imagine you probably narrowed down a little bit, possibly. So we know Arizona's where you end up going. That's the number one option. Was there a number two or maybe even a top three that you started saying inside your circle, saying, okay, this is really who's going to come down to. This is the true battle for myself.
Yeah. Texas Tech was Texas Tech was a big, like it was close. It was very close with them in Arizona. Um, just on my visit, it felt like welcoming. The whole coaching staff were great men in general. Great people. I think that was the biggest thing. They were so genuine to me. To this day, I still talk to all those coaches just because, we built a real relationship beyond basketball and I know they care for me. So Texas Tech was my second option. And then the third one was a toss up. It was toss up between Houston, Baylor, and Arkansas. I think the third one was it could have been any one of those.
So how did Tommy Lloyd and this coaching staff come and say, okay, obviously Texas Tech was a high school for you on your list there. How did they overcome that and even have a stronger relationship or a stronger appeal to you than any other school did in the country? Like, why was that the school you commit to?
I think Coach Lloyd was been real with me since the first day he recruited me. He told me what it was. He told me how he recruits. And then Coach Robinson being a legend in himself, letting me know the reasons he, came to coach with Coach Lloyd and how that program is, made a huge turn from, Coach Miller. And then the whole coaching staff, again, another great group of guys who are genuine. And then the players and the playing style, like they're all unselfish. They play, I feel like the exact same way I play. And then the energy in the McKale Center in Tucson, you know, I think also the Pac-12 is also one of the best conferences in the country. And then it was just best for my family. I have family in Cali, and we play four Cali teams in that conference, so get to see people I haven't seen a long time, and they get to come watch me play. And it's not that far from home with my mom. She could come out and watch me play. So, and they also get a lot of national television games. So it was just the best fit.
There's a story I want you to kind of share with us, and I'm not sure exactly how old you were, but the McKale Center is not going to be this. That's not going to be the first time you ever played there when you get out there. You played there before. You had a game-winning shot when you're younger there. Take us through that a little bit. Like, what happened there? How old were you? Just walk us through that time, the last time you played at the McKale Center.
So this is like the time I was living in Tucson with my dad. He put me in like a little city league thing. And then me and my team, we made it to the championship. Funny story, I was like playing one of my best friends out there. Like he was on the opposite team, so we were playing against each other. Um, I don't know, we had the ball last, and then I think I shot like a three or something. I don't know what I shot. I just remember it was being a buzzer beater and we won. Um, but like it felt like home. Like it just felt crazy. Like as a little kid, you shoot that shot in the gym, and you're like I want to do this. I want to come here and do this as a as an athlete for the U of A. And it's just unreal. Like it's just a real moment to see how fast time flies, and to see where I'm at right now. To know that I'm gonna be in the McKale Center playing in home games, um, it's just crazy. So it's definitely that was a fun time. It was definitely a fun time.
I never ask this question until guys are committed because a lot of time, if someone answers this question, a lot of attention is going to go to, and you're going to be asked by that fan base a ton of questions. But growing up, was there a dream school for yourself? Was there a school that you said, I want to play here? This is the school I want for myself when I play college basketball?
Yeah, it was the U of A. It was Arizona. Like I used to draw. Like I have a picture. My dad sent me the picture when I committed. I was a little kid. I drew like the McDonald's All American sign, and I drew the Arizona logo, and I said committed to the U of A, and had like both logos by each other. So yeah, it was crazy.
So when you got that offer and Coach Lloyd and this coaching staff officially said, okay, we want you, we're going all in on KJ Lewis, what was your reaction when you got the very first offer that day? Like, just take us to the day and how it all happened.
So they came watch me play on a Tuesday. We talked Wednesday, Thursday. They said they wanted to have a Zoom call with me and my mom Friday. So we get on a Zoom call, me and my mom, we have a conversation. They say they want to offer me. I get off the Zoom call. Um, I go a little crazy. Like I'm a little excited, and then I drive back to school and I got a workout, but I'm constantly telling like my coach, like, oh, I just got off from Arizona. Like I'm just steady talking about the offer. So I was super excited.
Now, I have to imagine that at that point in time, the thoughts of you playing at Arizona quickly came in your mind again. So, how were you even able to say from that point in time when they gave you the offer to when you officially commit there, from that point when they offered you, would you just automatically say, okay, this is the school I want to go to. I want Arizona. This is number one now for myself? Or how did you kind of balance the idea of saying, this is my dream school. I'm still going with my recruiting process? Like, where did they fall after that offer?
Um, they definitely were at one of the top schools on my list. But my mom also, she's been through it all. She's been through this process. So she told me to, don't make any decisions out of reaction or out of emotion. And so I came back down to earth. Um, we talked about a few things. We talked about a few schools. But ultimately, like we can thank Kylan too. Kylan was a big part. Kylan played like another recruiter. Me and Kylan talked a lot during the process. Um, but definitely my mom, she just told me to take my time with it. And when it's the right time, we'll know.
Now, that is actually what I want to get into next and on. That is about your 2023 recruiting class and Kylan. And I've got to know Kylan pretty well from being out in Arizona now. So I know he's an energetic guy. He's easy to talk to. The fun dude. You guys are going to form a dynamic duo out there. And obviously, there's a chance that he reclasses and all that too. But there's a good chance, obviously, that you'll still be playing together in college. So take us through Kylan a little bit. Like, how big of a role did he have in this recruiting process? And was that the first time you got to know him and start talking to him? Was when you got the offer and you guys first started going this recruiting process?
So funny thing, me and Kylan, we played against each other in the UIBL 16U championship.
Mhm.
But after that, we started talking. When he went to USA, me and him was like started getting cool. I congratulated him, all that. Then when we both found out we were both getting recruited by Coach Lloyd, and we made a group chat, and we just started talking, chopping it up. I got to know him a little better. He got to know me, um, and then we just built a friendship off that. Um, and then we talked about obviously we could have I could go to the same high school as him, whatever down the road. But I think he's just a great dude, great player, unselfish, one of those players, like one of those people you just want to be around hardworking. Um, and so like it was definitely a huge help with him, um, with him committing before me. So
If you two do get the opportunity to play with each other in college, how special will that duo be with between you two?
oh, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy because we can both do it all. Um, I can run the one, he can run the two, he can run the one, I can run the two, and we're dynamic, but we have the same like goal is to win a national championship, and we both work hard. So I think it's gonna be crazy.
As far as the 2023 class goes, is it locked in right now? Is it just you two and that's it? Or are you guys trying to recruit other guys? Or what is kind of the dream class for Arizona's 2023 recruiting class look like?
Oh, we definitely trying to get Dusty.
Mm-hmm.
We've been hard on Dusty. Uh, so that's one of the first people we trying to get with us. Um, After that, the thing about Coach Lloyd, he only offers a certain amount of people. I think he only offered four of us. So me, Kylan, Dusty, and I don't know his name, but he's from Australia, or
Mm-hmm.
he plays in the NBA Global team or whatever. Um, but we definitely pressuring Dusty to come on and come to U of A with us.
If you guys were to land all four of you guys, how special would that class be?
Oh, we'd probably be the best team in the nation. I think just because we all have similarities, we're all unselfish, and we can all score and we can all defend. And I think as you can see right now with the U of A team right now in the Sweet 16, like they play unselfish and they're dangerous. So it would be crazy.
I mentioned earlier saying how you obviously have the talent and the ability, I think, and to go and potentially reclass up and play next year in college basketball. Is that something that you would have considered as an offer on the table between you and Coach Lloyd have talked about, or is it just kind of set in stone that you're going to go and play one more year of high school basketball and then go on to college?
Um, it's definitely been a conversation with me and my family. Um, but I think I'm probably going to stay in high school. another year. Um, yeah, but it's been a conversation. I just want to play my last senior year of high school.
Well, I do want to go a lot into Coach Lloyd because Coach Lloyd obviously is new to the head coaching world now, so not too many people actually get to know what he's like on and off the court. We see him what he's doing on the court, and we see interviews here and there too, obviously. But you got to now talk to him on the personal level. You've got to see him in the basketball world now. What is Coach Lloyd like, both on and off the court?
Off the court, he's a great human being. Genuine, funny.
Mm-hmm.
Um, about his business when it comes down to being serious. But also a person that like can relate and you can talk to, and he'll be there for you. I think that's the biggest thing. Um, I don't know. There's not too many people in the world that you can like really tell that they care for, their kids and like are invested into a program like Coach Lloyd. Um, and then on the court, obviously he's serious. He's gonna demand the best out of you. Um, he wants unselfish players. That's what he expects, and he wants you to give your best, and you can see that on the court. And then it's the same thing from Coach Robinson, Coach Merv, Coach like every coaching coach on that coaching staff just wants the best for their players, but also are genuine like men and that care for those kids.
How have you seen your relationship with Coach Lloyd grow from the first time you guys started talking to today?
Oh, it grew tremendously. At first it was just like simple conversations. But after my visit, like I felt like I can ask him anything, talk to him about anything. Earlier today, he texted me, um, just asking how I'm doing, what I've been up to, like just simple stuff like that. And also he's worried about winning this game tonight too. But just the fact that he takes time out his like busy day to just check up on me is a big thing.
Now, fans are going to be ecstatic to see you get out there. Obviously, people are excited to see what you can bring to this program. But what can they expect when you do step foot out there in the McHale Center and you start playing as an Arizona Wildcat? What can fans expect you to bring to this program?
Excitement. I think someone that's going to give you their best each and every night. Someone who can score the ball. Can bring excitement plays with dunks or all that, but also a person who's going to defend the opposing team's best player, and who's passionate about winning. So also a winner.
Obviously, people are going to see you guys as this recruiting class come in and all this depth of what could potentially be there and who obviously returns to by the time you get out there, though. But what is something that you want to accomplish throughout your career? Like, are there certain things that you're going out there with the kind of goals of having and achieving throughout your career there?
Yeah, definitely. Personally, just winning, getting Pac-12 All-American or freshman of the year,
Mm-hmm.
Pac-12, first team All Pac-12, and then as a team, winning a national championship is the biggest goal, but also winning the conference tournament. Um, I think those are, some goals.
Now, as of right now, you are ranked as the 49th highest recruit in program history. But the thing about that is that once ESPN decides to finally rank you for whatever reason, you're not ranked on their site, that's going to fly up a lot because everyone else has you right in that 22 to 30ish range. So
Yeah.
my guess is that probably by the end of the summer, you're going to probably jump into the top 20 all time in Arizona history, which is probably where you belong. So when you look at it from that aspect and just know that you are one of the higher commits, eventually will be for sure, one of the highest commits in program history, what does that mean to you?
It's humbling, man. Like when you put it like that, just like again, time flies. I just was a little kid, watching Aaron Gordon and all them boys, Stanley Johnson and all them on TV. But it's humbling, like just to know my work has been paying off, and that I'm achieving my goals that I set as a little kid is crazy. It's unreal.
This might put you on the spot a little bit, but if you could list your top five favorite Arizona players to ever play in that program, who are they?
That's hard. I'm gonna say Aaron Gordon, Stanley Johnson, Nico Mannion, Josh, who he went with Nico too,
Mm-hmm.
and then the fifth one. That's hard. I'm gonna just give you a throwback. Uh, I'm gonna say Andre Iguodala or Gilbert Arenas.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard. We had some hitters coming out of Arizona, man.
Now, if you could create your five best lineup possible, like the best starting five in Arizona history, who you got the one, the two, the three, the four, and the five? Like, what's the best possible Arizona team you could possibly make? What's that starting lineup going to look like?
Okay, all right. The one I'm putting, and all right. I have a six man.
Yeah, you can have a six man. Yep.
So at the one, I'm putting Gilbert.
Mm-hmm.
At the two, at the two, I'm gonna give you somebody current. I want Ben
Mm-hmm.
playing right now. I want Ben at the two.
All right.
I want Andre.
Mm-hmm.
Four, I want Channing Frye.
Mm-hmm.
My five, I'm gonna give you another current, Coloco. I want him at my five, and then my six man, I want Mike Bibby.
Mm-hmm. So no Steve Kerr or DeAndre in there?
Oh, I forgot about DeAndre. Yeah, okay, we're gonna have to sub Coloco out. Yeah, probably want DeAndre. I forgot about DeAndre.
Now, at the same time, too, for yourself, though, you're going to go out there, and it's not necessarily a hometown presence. Like, it's not like you're playing in Southern Texas right now, but there is still a connection there. Like, you still have family out there. You have a sense of that hometown hero pride to a certain degree. What comes with that is how excited are you, too, at the same time to know that you're kind of going out there and representing somewhere that you can take pride in at the same time?
It's again, like you said, just taking pride in it. Putting on for the people and in the 520 and Tucson, for the little boys and little girls, who obviously have goals of, um, I think I'm just going to take the same approach as like I did in El Paso. Be somebody that they can look up to, be a humble person that can go out to community and like be a regular person and talk to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also just represent in the best way, win games, try to win a natty, just bring different energy to the community.
Now, there are a few things that I do want to get into before I let you go, and one of which is there is NIL, and that is a huge thing that's developed now in the past year or so. And I know Arizona has a massive brand out there too. So, how big of a role, if any, did Arizona and the NIL pitch to you have in this recruiting process for yourself?
Funny thing, like on my visit, like we rarely talk about NIL
Mm-hmm.
just because like Coach again with Coach Lloyd being a person like a genuine person, he just didn't want to offer me just because of NIL purposes and me wanting to get all the money. So we rarely talked about that. And I'm not that big on like all that NIL stuff. Like obviously it's a blessing
Yeah.
with my brand and like in my following. So whatever like endorsements or whatever deals I come to in the future, um, I don't know. Like that's like the least on my mind, to be honest.
If you could pick one brand out there, and obviously the odds of maybe getting a big deal like that is not too high. I haven't seen too many like a Nike or something like that or whatever it
Yeah.
could be. But if you could pick any brand in the country, rather be a sporting brand, a car brand, or whatever it is in the world, one company to be sponsored by for an NIL deal now in the NBA, whatever, who is that?
That's hard. Oh my God. I'm gonna give you two. I can't give you one. Uh, I want body armor. Hopefully, I
Mm.
can get a body armor deal, and then Charger like Dodge Chargers like a Charger deal. So those two.
Absolutely, man. Well, I know that all guys do want to be remembered for something. So when you do leave Arizona, rather that be in 1 year to 4 years, whatever it is, what do you want to be remembered for what you achieved both on and off the court throughout your career there?
Being known as a winner,
Mm-hmm.
someone who came in the program as a freshman, and winning. And then obviously try to believe Arizona as one of the best players to come out of it. Even though that's going to be a tough task, but all the again like heavy hitters that came out of Arizona, but also to be one of the best players to come out of Arizona.
I also do want to touch up and wrap up talking about your faith a little bit. I know you're a believer. So Kind of take us through your faith a little bit. Like, how has God helped get you to the point that you're at today?
Oh, extremely. My mom always just preaches. There's a God inside of you. Um, believe in him. And without God, I don't think I could be doing anything right now. So I'm definitely blessed to be in the position I'm in. Um, he put amazing people around me, my mom, my family, coaches, trainers. So like it's definitely been a huge part of this whole journey.
Where would you say has been the biggest moment that you've seen God show up in your life so far?
That's tough. I think just my whole life in general. Like I can't even pick out one moment because as a human you go through a lot of hard times in your life. So just every day, I think he's played a huge impact.
Well, KJ, my final thing for you, give Arizona fans your three biggest goals that you have set for your Arizona career.
Natty, conference champion,
Mm-hmm.
top five in the country all year.
Absolutely, man. Well, KJ, enjoy the final year of basketball for yourself in high school and that entire life for yourself. Congratulations on the commitment once again, man. I'm excited to have you out here. Hopefully, you have a great career. Excited to see what you get done out there, man. Keep being the light and appreciate you taking time to come on today, man.
Appreciate you, bro. Bear down, man. Bear down.
Absolutely, man. All right, man. Talk to you later, man. God bless.